He wants to go to Mars. I think he's a transhumanist.
I mean, I'm an Elon fan. He's also brilliant. So maybe some people don't understand what they're doing, but maybe it's an IQ difference thing. There's no way.
What's do you mind if I finish my sentence, Mikhaila?
You released a 26-minute video detailing my dad's benzo withdrawal, and I think it's a mean girl high school tactic.
I think he's able to deal with a little bit of criticism. Your father spoke out about his benzo addiction.
Maybe you don't know anything about this.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to be watching Mikhaila Peterson and Candace Owens have a catfight for the ages. Now, I definitely don't agree with everything that Mikhaila Peterson says, but because Jordan Peterson is my internet father, it kind of makes her my internet sister in a way. But not above criticism, neither of them are, so we're going to call this one as we see it today. Lots of interesting points raised, so with that, let's get into the first part.
And I want to be clear, all across the board, it's not just the H-1B. There's a ton of visa programs that are being routinely abused. And like I said, I have faith in the American people. I think that the American people can fulfill those positions. I know they can fulfill those positions. And so I am not on the side of Elon Musk and Trump in this debate. And I think that, you know, Elon Musk has been at Mar-a-Lago for a bit too long and thinks that that is the sample of what MAGA is, and it simply isn't. Steve Bannon has been on the ground and spoken to those people for years. He understands what they're saying, and it would be gracious for Elon Musk to kind of step down and recognize that he's simply wrong in this debate.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you actually posted to me on X, of course, owned by Elon Musk. You said we'll have to get together in the new year so you can let me finish what I was going to say about Elon Musk. A lot has happened since I didn't finish that sentence. What do you think his game plan is here?
Well, that was what I was going to say to you. And for people that haven't watched it, we were able to sit down and speak about a variety of issues, but we did disagree on Elon Musk. You said that he was a superhero, and I didn't say that he hadn't done superheroic things. You know, I thought that he was going to rescue speech on X. Even that's up for debate now, given the H-1B visa debate. But I was never keen on him essentially buying a seat at the table, which is what he's done, because we don't know what Elon Musk believes. You know, I am a Christian conservative. Elon Musk, of course, is going to be at odds with me and my beliefs because he wants to put brain chips in people's minds. He wants to go to Mars. You know, these things conflict with me theologically. You know, I think he's a transhumanist. What are his perspectives on marriage? He's had how many different women? I think he has up to 13 different children. What is Elon Musk's endgame? And we have not seen people interview him fairly. They're either incredibly hostile to him, like you saw with Don Lemon, or they're too friendly to him, and which they just see him as a superhero. And I would actually like to see someone sit down and flesh out what Elon Musk actually believes. What is his goal? What is he trying to contribute? Because I don't think you can say that you are a conservative if you are not ultimately trying to conserve the nuclear family unit. And I don't think that he's trying to do any of those things. And so we're now seeing that, okay, maybe this is about AI for him. Maybe this is about data collection for him. Maybe this is about him wanting to be the first person and getting a leg into federal governments so that he can do things that are on a larger scale in terms of artificial intelligence. I don't know the answer to that, and not knowing the answer to that made me uncomfortable when people did what we always speak against, which is essentially turn him into a celebrity, that worship him like he's Taylor Swift, and think that because he's got tons of money and bought X, that he's now suddenly allowed to direct us on politics. I just am not into celebrity worship culture.
Mikhaila, interestingly, Elon Musk began following you on X just 3 days ago, and that happened after you complained that you thought YouTube was trying to shadow ban your father Jordan's interview with Tommy Robinson, very controversial figure over here in the UK. What did you think when Elon began following you?
I mean, I'm an Elon fan, so I kind of had a bit of a fangirl moment. And I'm not a fan of celebrity culture, like Candace said, either. I don't usually follow that stuff, but I appreciate what Elon's doing. And I think it's totally fair if you're trying to give the world internet and doing what he's doing for the better of civilization, which I totally believe, that he has a seat at the table. He's also brilliant. So maybe some people don't understand what they're doing, but maybe it's an IQ difference thing.
Well, okay. I mean, look, I think he's a genius, no question. But I also think...
Okay, so an IQ difference? No. This is the problem with these classical liberals.
It's an IQ difference thing.
Well, okay. I mean, look, I think he's a genius, no question. But I also think
The materialist capitalist types that worship the ground that Elon Musk walks on. And they think that anybody who doesn't do the same must just be low IQ. No, thank you. I'll continue to be skeptical because he's just a man. And like other men, he is very flawed in his own ways and he is self-interested. And Candace has a really good point here, and whether they like it or not, this is something that conservatives have to grapple with, because they do have to ask themselves just how much they want to exalt this man without fully understanding his intentions and his worldview. I mean, the things that Candace Owens raised there in terms of how he is kind of a transhumanist are just some of the things that are pretty eyebrow-raising about Elon Musk. And this has kind of come to a head recently with the whole H-1B visa debate, and he's been getting a lot of pushback from MAGA, and the only people that are really outwardly supporting him are these classical liberal capitalist types, and they're calling everybody who is going against Musk and Vivek the woke right. And what this is, the woke right, is basically just these classical liberal types trying to gatekeep the cultural conversation and push anybody out to the fringes who is anywhere to the right of them. Anybody who thinks that America should defend Americans is woke right. They say that they're using the same sort of racial politics as the left. I mean, by woke right, do you just mean the right? Do you just mean anybody who is not a liberal masquerading as a conservative? Because when you look at what it actually means to be conservative, it is to conserve tradition. I've been reading this book recently called The Conservative Mind by Russell Kirk, and I've been writing down some great quotes throughout that I'll share with you. First one, the essence of social conservatism is preservation of the ancient moral traditions of humanity. Number two, freedom can be achieved and retained only by sober men who take humanity as it is, not as humanity should be. Third one, I'm going to butcher this because I can't find the actual quote, it's kind of from memory, is the countryside is conservative because there it is difficult to separate man from his creator above, his father buried beneath, and the traditions that lie between. Now let's get back to the video where Piers Morgan has just done another one of his Tommy Robinson bad monologues, and Candace Owens weighs in.
Candace.
Yeah, I also want to add here, just just regarding Elon Musk shifting gears and even speaking about that issue, you are correct. Obviously, I follow UK politics to some degree because of who I'm married to. And I will tell you that it very much seemed to me like he was drudging up this issue because he was getting so much backlash on the H-1B visa. So I don't really know how sincere Elon Musk was when he weighed into that issue at all. Suddenly,
no one's not.
Do you mind if I finish my sentence, Mikhaila? You've just been talking for a long time. Do you mind if I? There's not a time. There's not a time. Do you mind if I finish my sentence?
Another, it's hard to address them all.
Do you mind if I finish my sentence? I feel like I've let you speak.
I mean, a bit, but go ahead.
Everyone's speaking.
Go ahead.
You mind letting me finish my sentence?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mikhaila. So what I was just going to say is it seemed very much to us that he was just trying to shift gears because basically he was trending for almost 2 weeks over the H-1B visa, and he was doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. And then suddenly he's just advising on UK politics. And like you said, this issue hasn't been going on forever. It was extensively covered by the mainstream media. It was not brought up by Tommy Robinson. We can have a discussion about what's going on in the UK. That's great. I'm glad that he has spotlighted the issue. But you are correct that most Americans are not up to date on what's happening there. So it did seem like a random shift. And Mikhaila, I do have to say, you say that you're not into celebrity culture, but the way that you respond regarding Elon Musk is very much like a Swiftie. I mean, you haven't even heard what I have to say. You're defending everything he says and does to the point that all you do is issue ad hominem attacks. I mean, your first response back when we were speaking about Elon Musk is, well, it must be an IQ thing if people don't understand him. You keep just calling people stupid. People are racist. No, people are having a different opinion than Elon Musk. You don't have to have a higher IQ than Elon Musk to have a different opinion from him. Quite frankly, I don't think he is the most socially sharp person in the entire world. He's done incredible things. We can definitely say that he is a genius. It does not make him right on issues of immigration spanning from here to the UK. It's ridiculous. I mean, he's not a king.
Mikhaila?
I think saying that Elon is upset about child rape because a bunch of people he doesn't really care about
That's not what I said.
were flapping about the H-1B visa is ridiculous. And I think it's funny that you mentioned ad hominem attacks after you released a 26-minute video detailing my dad's benzo withdrawal and allergic reactions out on YouTube. It's just funny, like you're going after me for ad hominem.
Well, actually, look, now you mentioned that, I was going to bring that. Oh, well, hang on. I was going to bring that up.
Okay, so this is where we can assign the true motive of the personal animosity that we are seeing here from Mikhaila directed at Candace. Because even I was a bit confused. I can understand that they've got their differences, but I didn't really understand about why Mikhaila seems to have this sort of grudge or vendetta against Candace. I mean, she clearly doesn't like her. And this is actually the first I'd heard of this segment that Candace had done about Jordan Peterson. So let's get into the next bit where it starts to get pretty heated.
For those who don't know what you're talking about, let's play a little clip from that.
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible?
I'll tell you how it's possible. You lay in bed, frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Not
and
good.
this is from cider.
I feel like Joe Rogan is all of us. I'm listening to that, and it doesn't pass the sniff test. I'm just going, wait, what, apple cider? You didn't sleep for how long? What are you talking about? He brings up Mikhaila, by the way. That's his daughter. We're going to get into it. That explanation does not make sense to me whatsoever. Again, I am not a doctor. I'm not claiming to know how everybody's body reacts to apple cider, but I just don't think that you wouldn't sleep for that long because of it.
Okay, so
Where was
Mikhaila,
the ad hominem attack?
Well, I'll come to you in a moment, Candace. Mikhaila, how did you feel when you heard about that?
Well, I think it's funny because, like, we're connected online, Candace. So if she has an issue with my family, she could literally just message me. Her husband has my husband's phone number, you know? So it's just like a weird thing to do. I don't know where it came from. As for the apple cider reaction, I've gone over this so many times, but it's fair if Candace didn't know this. Although I don't know why you would make a 26-minute video without doing some research. It wasn't apple cider. It was a sodium metabisulfite allergy. And it was near anaphylaxis. And people don't sleep in that state. And when we went through that, which was horrible, it was horrible. We had a hard time with the medical system. We didn't know how to treat it. It took us like years to figure out what the allergy was. If you talk to a doctor and say you have that allergy, they go, what's that? Like, it's not a common allergy, but it's not uncommon. You can Google it. And it just seems a little bit cruel to like pull that up. You also started that video by saying, you know, why is Jordan Peterson's audience, male audience, like diminishing? Let's get into it, which is just, it's manipulative, right? It's not true. So you have this giant audience, Candace, and you say these things as if they're true, which confuses people when they're not. So I don't know what to say about it. It's aggravating, and I think it's a mean girl high school tactic.
Okay, Candace, you're a mean girl.
Again, accusing me of ad hominem attacks when I feel like she's engaging in them. Just to be clear and to contextualize this clip, Jordan Peterson was trending. I cover trends, I cover the news, and I think it's fair to cover topics when they come to the surface. He was essentially tweeting ad hominem attacks that were written like sonnets. It was very bizarre, and people were going, what's going on with Dr. Jordan Peterson? And it became a Twitter trend, and so I covered it. Is there something wrong with covering a trending topic? I certainly don't think there is, or I wouldn't have a podcast or things to speak about. Regarding your father's audience, there were a lot of people who, after his addiction and feeling like he was not honest about his addiction, a lot of men who sort of switched off from Jordan Peterson. I mean, that is just a fact. I understand and respect that it is your father, and so you're naturally going to be defensive of him. And if it was a family member of mine, I would naturally be defensive of him. But to pretend like I plucked the topic out of pure air simply to be a mean girl and not because it was trending, literally saying that people are wondering what's going on with Jordan Peterson, I think that's you not being very genuine about why I was discussing it. And I think that I was tremendously respectful. I also paid him a huge compliment. I think his book and what it did for men worldwide at a time when men were being completely stomped on and masculinity was being questioned. And I said I would never remove that and would never take the credit away from him. But there have been some things that have just registered to the public as odd. I didn't make your father trend that day. So I think he's able to deal with a little bit of criticism.
Okay, so a few angles to cover here. I mean, if I was Mikhaila Peterson, I would definitely have the same sort of burning urge to defend my father. And to be honest, I'd probably just do the same thing. If there's anything that this really says, it's that Jordan Peterson is obviously just a great dad. I mean, she clearly adores him. If I was advising her from some sort of a logical standpoint, I would probably advise her not to go and debate this in the public forum, because she clearly has quite an emotional attachment to the issue, which is understandable. And the fact of the matter is that when a megastar like Jordan Peterson goes through something so public, and whenever he basically puts a foot wrong or puts a hair wrong, people are going to talk about it and people are going to criticize him. That's just the nature of the game. And if you get offended and emotional in public spaces about this sort of thing as a family member of Jordan Peterson's, then there are a lot of sickos out there who are going to really use that against you. So I think that it's actually counterproductive to do that. But Candace does have a right to talk about this, as we said, even though I do kind of disagree with her doing that. I mean, I know that Jordan Peterson has had his bad moments, particularly on Twitter, and he's only human and he's not above criticism. But he's just done so much good in so many young men, even that I know personally, that nothing he's done has made me really want to do a deep dive criticism. And I don't think it's really a worthy cause. And Jordan Peterson still sells out many arenas around the world. And I and many people that I know go to those shows. And I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. I think that his impact is still as big as ever. Now, the Twitter thing where he does the sonnet tweets were weird and really actually annoying to read, but I mean, whatever. I'm glad he's not doing it anymore. But in terms of his struggle with benzos and his addiction or his dependence, whatever you want to call it, I mean, they seem like the same term to me. It wasn't that young men were switching off from him after that addiction. I mean, I know a lot of Jordan Peterson fans. I've introduced a lot of people to Jordan Peterson, and from what I could gather, people were just really rooting for him and really praying that he would come out the other end and he'd be okay. And I knew all along that he was a psychologist and he recommended SSRIs, even though that's a position that I disagree with. I think that if there's anything that's turned people off, it's the fact that he's shifted his attention from speaking to primarily young men to going into more geopolitics and working for the Daily Wire and talking about all of these foreign wars. It's probably lost a few people and maybe taken some people from the diehard fans to the casual observers. But I would say that people do have an attachment to him because he's been so profoundly helpful in turning men's lives around. So you're not going to get us to abandon the ship that quickly. And I hope that he does get back to talking to young men. But anyways, let's check out the rest of this debate.
You want to respond, Mikhaila?
I guess I'm just confused because Candace said she wasn't into celebrity culture. So then I thought maybe it was just a personal thing if it's not about a celebrity, but maybe I just got that wrong. I don't know what else I can respond to about that. People can listen to, can I finish? Thank you. People can listen to the 26-minute, like you can say, oh, I said something nice at the end. It's the same thing when you say these things and your tone is off. You can be like, oh, tone doesn't matter, but you say things sometimes in a bit of a manipulative fashion to get people to think a certain way. And then when people bring them up, you go, well, those aren't the words I said, but tone matters too. Anyway, people can go on YouTube and listen to the 26-minute section of your video on Dad and see what they think. I think it's high school mean girl tactics. I don't care if you think that's ad hominem either.
Candace?
Well, I would just say that when I was referring to celebrity culture, I meant worshiping people because they're celebrities. So I think that would make me ideologically consistent. And like I said, he was trending that day. I covered it as a trending topic. It's not a mean girl thing, but it might feel that way to you because it's your father and you have a personal relationship. You know, I can apologize if you are hurt from me covering the news, but like I said, we have to develop a thicker skin when we're in the public. How many things are said about me routinely on a daily basis? If people want to cover after I have, you know, an addiction, and people say, hey, after this, I think people lost faith in Candace Owens, and that becomes a trending topic. I think that's fair game. It may not feel good to me, but I think that it would be fair game and it would be newsworthy.
Okay.
You do know that 1/5 of Americans are on psych meds, right? Are you aware of the statistics?
Yes.
Are those all people with
Correct.
addictions? Like, is that your view of people on psych meds just in general?
No, your father spoke out about his benzo addiction, so I don't understand why you're asking me a question about people that take psych meds.
Benzo dependence. Maybe you don't know anything about this. If you're on a psych med long term, you form a dependence on it, and it's very difficult to get off of. They're starting to teach this in medical school. It's a disaster because so many Americans are on psych meds. So yeah, he suffered from psych med withdrawal because they make you form a dependence on it, especially long term. Now, calling it an addiction as if he was on heroin or something is manipulative. You know, so when we talked about it and we were very honest about what was going on, part of it was to spread awareness that 1/5 of Americans are on medications that cause dependence and don't know it. It's horrible. People die because of it. So I think laughing about it is like, it's not cool.
Well, I certainly don't think I laughed at it. I think benzo dependence is pretty much a euphemism for an addiction. And if you know anything about my work and me being super crunchy and speaking about why I think medicines are bad because they do create dependencies, which then yield people going onto the streets for something stronger. I mean, the benzo addiction becomes a heroin addiction because the doctor won't write you the prescription anymore. So you turn to the streets for something stronger because your body is dependent on it. I'm sorry that, again, you are offended by this conversation simply because it is your father. I don't think I've been offensive in my language. And if you find it to be manipulative, that I think that it impacted the way that men saw him when they publicly were saying that on Twitter. We covered the tweets that people were writing on that day about how, you know, they used to idolize him. They're so grateful for his book, but this is not the person that they knew. Again, I'm sorry you're offended by that, but it's just the reality of what happened. And I can tell this is a sensitive topic for you, but it is what it is, Mikhaila. I don't know what to say. I don't think anybody's laughed at it. I think it's a good conversation to be had. And no one is more anti-Big Pharma than me. I mean, I have an entire series against Big Pharma, so.
I don't even know where to start with that. You know, benzo addicts will go to the street for heroin. We were trying to spread awareness about psych med withdrawal. And we were very honest about what everybody was going through. I went through psych med withdrawal myself. It was one of the worst experiences in my life. It kills people, causes akathisia, which makes people suicidal. It's a terrible side effect. So that's what we were talking about. Now, if you want to twist that a little bit and be like, he's losing his audience because he's an addict, you know, I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, so I think that Candace is right about that one. I mean, you do have to have thick skin to be engaging in these political and cultural debates. And when you've got a family member who is as much of a prominent figure as Jordan Peterson, then this is going to happen and happen a lot. And in terms of the addiction problems that he faced, I think that Mikhaila would be best off letting bygones be bygones with that one and just focusing on the future. Because I and so many others are really hoping that the future is very bright for the Peterson family. And I'll actually be attending the ARC conference in a few weeks' time in London, and maybe I will get a chance to talk to Dr. Peterson about some things that I've got on my mind. And if I do, I will update you guys. But anyways, appreciate you guys being here. If you guys would like to find me, my links will be below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel below. And if you'd like to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.